The Force binds all things across the galaxy, connecting every living being in an invisible web of energy and destiny. For 1,000 generations, the Jedi have served as its guardians, interpreting its will and maintaining balance. But what happens when something from beyond the stars arrives? Something that bends reality itself without touching the Force at all. The rupture appeared without warning above Coruscant's eastern hemisphere. Not a hyperspace anomaly. Not a spatial tear caused by experimental weapons. This was something else entirely. A wound in the fabric of space that radiated energies no scanner could identify. The Jedi Temple's meditation chambers erupted in discord, as every Force-sensitive on the planet city felt the disturbance simultaneously. It wasn't dark-side corruption or light-side harmony. It was other. Master Yoda stood at the temple's highest balcony, his ancient eyes narrowing as golden light spilled from the rift. Beside him, Mace Windu ignited his lightsaber instinctively, purple blade humming in the morning air. "What is that?" Windu demanded, but Yoda only tilted his head, listening to something beyond mortal perception. Through the breach, a figure fell. He wore robes of deep blue and crimson, a tattered cloak whipping around him as he plummeted toward the endless cityscape. His hands moved in precise geometric patterns, orange light trailing from his fingertips as he traced symbols that burned in the air. The falling man's descent slowed impossibly, defying gravity through means that made the Force itself recoil in confusion. 20 meters from impact, he stopped completely, hovering cross-legged above a landing platform as if seated on an invisible throne. Dr. Stephen Strange opened his eyes and immediately assessed his situation with surgical precision. Wrong sky, wrong architecture, wrong universe. The spell had failed catastrophically. He'd been attempting to seal a breach in the multiverse when something had pulled him through, not just across dimensions, but into an entirely different reality. His connection to the Vishanti felt like a whisper across an impossible distance. The dark dimension's power, usually accessible through sheer force of will, responded sluggishly, as if filtered through thick glass. But there was something else here. An energy that permeated everything, flowing through the towering structures and the billions of life forms below. It felt almost alive, aware in ways that reminded him of the cosmic entities he'd bargained with. Strange lowered himself to the platform and immediately noticed the crowd gathering at the platform's edge. Armored figures in white, beings of dozens of species, and 2 robed warriors whose weapons hummed with contained plasma. "Identify yourself," commanded a Jedi Knight, lightsaber held in a ready stance that Strange's photographic memory cataloged instantly. Makashi form, designed for precision dueling. The man was afraid, but disciplined. Strange raised his hands slowly, the eye of Agamotto gleaming at his chest. "My name is Stephen Strange. I'm not your enemy, though I understand why you'd think otherwise." He glanced at the rift slowly sealing behind him, golden edges contracting like a closing wound. "I didn't come here intentionally. A spell went wrong." "Spell?" The second Jedi, a Twi'lek woman, exchanged glances with her companion. "You claim to be a sorcerer?" "Something like that." Strange felt the energy around them, this force, pressing against his consciousness, curious and cautious. "I'm a master of the mystic arts from a dimension your galaxy has never encountered, and judging by the reception, I'd say magic isn't common here." Within the hour, Strange found himself in the Jedi Temple's council chamber, surrounded by 12 of the most powerful Force users in the galaxy. The room was circular, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of Coruscant's endless sprawl. Master Yoda sat in his council seat, diminutive but radiating authority that Strange recognized immediately. This being had lived centuries and accumulated wisdom that transcended mere power. Mace Windu spoke first, his voice carrying the weight of suspicion. "Your arrival caused a disturbance in the Force, unlike anything we've encountered. Every Jedi in the temple felt it. You claim to use magic, yet we sense something in you that resonates with the Force itself." Strange stood in the chamber's center, arms crossed, evaluating each council member with the same intensity they directed at him. "In my universe, I draw power from dimensional energies, entities and forces beyond normal space-time. Here, I can feel the connection is severely weakened. But I also sense this force you speak of. It's everywhere. Connecting everything. Fascinating, really. It's similar to the mystic energy fields I manipulate, but far more pervasive. Arrogant, this one is, Yoda observed, though his tone carried more curiosity than condemnation. Compare the force to his own power, he does. Tell me, Dr. Strange, why should we not treat you as a threat? Sith sorcery the dark side employs. Similar, your abilities may be. Strange met Yoda's gaze without flinching. Because I didn't have to come here peacefully. I could have teleported away the moment your Jedi approached. Instead, I chose dialogue. He gestured, and orange light sparked between his fingers. A simple spell, but enough to demonstrate precision. Where I come from, I've faced threats that could consume entire dimensions. I've bargained with cosmic entities and held infinity itself in my hands. I'm not here to conquer or corrupt. I'm here by accident, and I need to find a way home. The eye you wear, Ki Adimundi leaned forward, his elongated head tilted in thought. It radiates power even our instruments cannot measure. What is it? Strange's hand moved instinctively to the eye of Agamotto. In his universe, it had housed the Time Stone, one of the 6 Infinity Stones. Here, in this reality, he could feel it still contained something, though diminished. An artifact of immense power. In the wrong hands, it could unravel causality itself. He paused, considering his next words carefully. I won't lie to you. I've used it to view millions of possible futures, to find the one path to victory against impossible odds. Time is my specialty. The council chamber erupted in urgent whispers. Plo Koon's masked face turned toward Yoda. Master, such power. To see the future. To manipulate time itself, this is beyond even the greatest Jedi prophets. Dangerous knowledge, that is, Yoda said softly. The future, always in motion. Change it, attempting to see it does. Know this you must, Dr. Strange. I'm aware of the paradoxes, Strange replied. I've lived them. But I've also learned when to look and when to act blindly on faith. I'm not reckless with temporal forces. He took a breath, sensing the moment's delicacy. I understand your caution. In your position, I'd be suspicious too. But I'm offering you something valuable. My knowledge, my abilities, and my experience with threats beyond normal comprehension. In return, I need access to information about this galaxy, and assistance finding a way back to my dimension. Mace Windu stood, his presence commanding immediate attention. You speak of threats and power, but you know nothing of the darkness we face. The Sith have returned. The galaxy is at war. The Republic itself teeters on the brink of collapse. Can your magic stop a droid army? Can your spells counter a Sith Lord's lightning? Strange's expression hardened. I've fought beings that make your Sith look like children playing with matches. But I'm not here to boast. I'm here to survive and eventually return home. If helping you serves that purpose, then we have common ground. The council deliberated in hushed tones, though Strange's enhanced hearing caught fragments. They were divided. Some saw opportunity, others saw only risk. Yoda finally raised his hand, silence falling instantly. A test you will face, the ancient master declared. Prove yourself you must. Your intentions, time will reveal. But trust, earned it must be. Yoda's eyes gleamed with something Strange recognized. The look of someone who'd seen more than they'd ever speak aloud. Stay in the temple, you will. Learn our ways. Show us yours. Then decide, the council shall, what to do with a sorcerer from beyond the stars. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. Strange's quarters in the Jedi Temple were austere. A meditation chamber with a sleeping platform, minimal furniture, and a viewport overlooking Coruscant's glittering expanse. He stood at the window, hands moving through diagnostic patterns as orange mandalas flickered and died. Each spell required twice the effort it should, the mystic energy struggling to manifest without his usual dimensional anchors. The eye of Agamotto pulsed against his chest, still functional but muted, like a star viewed through fog. Attempting magic again, are you? Yoda's voice came from the doorway, the ancient Jedi entering without sound. Feel it, I do. Different from the Force, yet not entirely separate. Strange turned, noting how Yoda moved. Every gesture deliberate. Every step placed with intention, born from centuries of discipline. The energy I normally access doesn't exist here. I'm trying to adapt my techniques to work with your Force instead. It's proving difficult. Yoda settled onto a meditation cushion, gesturing for Strange to join him. Difficult, because control you seek. The Force, a river it is. Flow with it you must, not command it like a servant. In my experience, power that can't be controlled is power that controls you. Strange sat cross-legged, mirroring Yoda's posture. I've seen what happens when magic users surrender to their power. They become vessels for entities far more dangerous than themselves. Fear the dark side you do, Yoda observed. Good. Fear without paranoia, wisdom that is. But tell me, this dark dimension you mentioned, used its power you have, yes? Strange's jaw tightened. When necessary. I don't draw from it lightly. But I won't pretend some problems can be solved with purely benevolent means. Sometimes you need to fight fire with fire. Ah! Yoda's ears drooped slightly. The Jedi way this is not. The dark side, seductive it is. Use it for good intentions. Many have tried. Consumed by it. All were, eventually. Then perhaps your Jedi way has limitations. Strange kept his tone respectful but firm. I've saved my reality multiple times by being willing to make the hard choices, to use whatever tools were necessary. I don't do it casually, but I do it when lives hang in the balance. Yoda was silent for a long moment, his eyes distant. Much like someone else, you sound. Count Dooku, once my apprentice he was. Pragmatic. Willing to bend rules for the greater good. Now, the Sith's apprentice he is. Leading armies against the Republic. The warning was clear, but Strange didn't flinch. I'm not your fallen apprentice. I've stared into the abyss and walked away with my soul intact. But I appreciate the concern. He paused, sensing an opportunity. You don't entirely disagree with me though, do you? I can see it. You've lived long enough to know the galaxy isn't as simple as light and dark. Yoda's expression remained inscrutable. Complications. The galaxy has many. But the path of the Jedi, clear it remains. Serve the Force, not our own judgments of what should be. Trust in its will, we must. Even when its will leads to suffering, Strange challenged gently. Even when you can see disaster coming and have the power to prevent it? Especially then, Yoda replied, rising to his feet. For arrogance, thinking we know better than the Force itself is. Tomorrow, begin your training you will. Learn to feel the Force without controlling it. Perhaps then, understand you will. The training grounds stretched across the temple's eastern wing, a vast space where Jedi practiced lightsaber forms and Force techniques. Strange arrived at dawn to find Master Mace Windu waiting, his expression suggesting this would not be a gentle lesson. Master Yoda believes you deserve a chance to prove yourself, Windu said, igniting his purple lightsaber. I'm less convinced. Show me what you can do. Strange assessed the situation with clinical precision. Windu was testing him, looking for weakness or evidence of dark side corruption. The man's stance was perfect, Vapad form. Strange's enhanced memory supplied, a aggressive style that bordered on dark side channeling. Interesting that Windu would criticize Strange's pragmatism while using such a technique. You want a demonstration? Strange's hands moved, conjuring a shield of golden energy just as Windu struck. The lightsaber met the shield with a shower of sparks, the plasma blade unable to penetrate the mystic barrier. I'm a surgeon, Master Windu. Precision is my specialty. Windu pressed the attack, testing the shield from multiple angles. Fast, faster than most humans Strange had fought, but still within parameters he could handle. Strange shifted the shield's position without moving his feet, conserving energy while Windu expended his. After 30 seconds, Windu stepped back, breathing slightly harder. Impressive defense, the Jedi Master acknowledged. But defense alone wins no battles. Attack me. Strange hesitated. I don't want to hurt you. You won't, Windu replied, and there was absolute certainty in his voice. Strange nodded slowly, then struck. Not with his usual eldritch whips that could restrain Thanos, but with carefully measured force bolts, just enough to test Windu's defenses. The Jedi Master deflected them with his lightsaber, the blade moving so fast it became a purple blur. Then Windu reached out with his free hand, and Strange felt invisible pressure wrap around his chest, the Force attempting to lift him off his feet. Instead of resisting directly, Strange entered his astral form. The effect was instantaneous and dramatic. Strange's physical body slumped to the ground while his astral projection stood beside it, fully aware and mobile. Windu froze, his force grip encountering only empty flesh. Strange's astral form gestured, and his body rose on its own, hovering upright, as if awakening. What? Windu's composure cracked for the first time. That's impossible. You separated your consciousness from your body while maintaining animation of both? Astral projection, Strange explained, his spirit form walking a circle around the confused Jedi. My consciousness can operate independently of my physical form. Useful for scouting, infiltration, or in this case, demonstrating that your force techniques assume a unified mind-body connection. He snapped back into his body with a sound like a rubber band. In my dimension, it's a basic technique for any competent sorcerer. Windu deactivated his lightsaber, studying Strange with new intensity. That ability, the Jedi have legends of similar feats, but only the most powerful masters ever achieved it, and never with such casual ease. He paused. You're more dangerous than I thought. Not because of malice, but because you're operating on principles we don't understand. Then help me understand yours, Strange offered. I'm not trying to upend your order. I'm trying to survive in a universe where my usual powers barely function. If I can learn to work with the Force instead of around it, that benefits everyone. Before Windu could respond, a protocol droid approached, its golden plating reflecting the morning sun. Masters, forgive the interruption. The Council requests Dr. Strange's presence immediately. A holographic transmission has arrived from Count Dooku, addressed specifically to the Sorcerer from beyond. Strange and Windu exchanged glances. How would Dooku even know about me? Strange asked. The Sith have ways of knowing things they shouldn't, Windu replied grimly. This complicates everything. The hologram of Count Dooku materialized in the council chamber. A tall, elegant figure with a curved lightsaber at his hip and eyes that held centuries of aristocratic bearing. Strange studied him carefully, noting the subtle corruption in his Force presence, the way darkness clung to him like expensive cologne. Members of the Jedi Council, Dooku began, his voice smooth as aged wine. And of course, our mysterious visitor from beyond the stars. Dr. Strange, I believe you're called? Count Dooku, Strange replied evenly, staying standing despite the Council's seated positions. I'd say it's a pleasure, but I have a policy against lying to Sith Lords. Dooku's expression flickered with something like amusement. Direct. I appreciate that. The Jedi have become so mired in political niceties, they've forgotten how to speak plainly. He leaned forward slightly. I wanted to extend an invitation, Doctor. You're a man of science, of pragmatism. You understand that sometimes the end justifies the means. The Jedi don't think that way. They'll constrain you with their dogma, their fear of power. And you offer what? Strange asked. Freedom to use the dark side? Power without consequence? I offer partnership between equals, Dooku countered. You possess knowledge of dimensional forces, temporal manipulation, abilities the Jedi fear. I recognize their value. Together, we could reshape this galaxy into something better than the corrupt Republic or the stagnant Jedi Order could ever achieve. Strange felt the Council's tension spike, every Jedi waiting to see how he'd respond. This was the real test, not combat prowess or force sensitivity, but moral alignment. Dooku was offering exactly what Strange had been arguing for, freedom to use whatever power necessary for the greater good. "I'll admit, Count, you make some valid points," Strange said, and he could feel Windu's anger flare. "The Jedi do have limitations. Their attachment to dogma can be frustrating, but I've met your type before." He stepped closer to the hologram. "You dress up your power grab in philosophy and noble intentions, but at the end of the day, you're just another would-be tyrant who thinks he knows better than everyone else." Dooku's expression hardened. "Careful, Doctor. You know nothing of what I've sacrificed, what I've seen." "I know enough," Strange interrupted. "I can see the darkness in you, Count. It's not a tool you're using. It's using you. You've convinced yourself that you're serving some greater purpose, but really, you've just traded one form of slavery for another. The Jedi serve the Force. You serve your Sith master and your own ego." The hologram flickered with Dooku's barely contained rage. "You make a powerful enemy today, Sorcerer." "I've made powerful enemies before," Strange replied calmly. "They didn't end well. Here's my counteroffer. Surrender. Turn yourself in. And maybe the galaxy can start healing from this war you're perpetuating." Dooku laughed, the sound bitter and cold. "Idealistic fool. You have no idea what forces are truly at play here. The Jedi are already doomed, whether you help them or not. This war will end in ways none of you can imagine. When that day comes, remember that I offered you a chance to be on the winning side." The hologram cut out, leaving silence in its wake. Yoda spoke first, his voice grave. "Made your choice. You have, Dr. Strange. Grateful we are. But right, Dooku may be. Dangers ahead, greater than any know." Strange turned to face the Council, seeing the mix of relief and continued suspicion on their faces. "I meant what I said. I don't trust easily, and I question authority by nature, but I recognize true evil when I see it. Whatever Dooku and his Sith master are planning, I'll help you stop it if I can." Mace Windu stood, approaching Strange with measured steps. "You rejected the dark side today. That counts for something. But understand this. The path you walk is precarious. One wrong step, one moment of thinking you know better than the Force, and you could fall just as Dooku did." "I'll take that risk," Strange said, "because the alternative is standing by while people suffer. That's not who I am." Yoda nodded slowly. "Then train you, we shall. But watch you closely, we will also. Trust, earned through action it is. Prove yourself in the trials ahead, you must." Strange looked out at Coruscant sprawling below, the weight of an entire galaxy's conflict settling on his shoulders. He'd survived infinity and death itself. Now he'd have to survive something potentially more dangerous, other people's faith in him. 3 weeks passed in disciplined routine. Strange trained with Jedi Masters, learning to sense the Force's currents rather than impose his will upon them. His magical abilities slowly adapted, drawing from the omnipresent energy field instead of distant dimensional sources. He could now sustain shields twice as long, teleport short distances using Force-enhanced sling ring portals, and his astral form moved through the temple like a ghost, observing everything. But the eye of Agamotto called to him. Late one night, Strange sat alone in his quarters, the artifact pulsing against his chest with familiar warmth. In his universe, he'd used it to view 14 million possible futures in the fight against Thanos. Here, diminished but still functional, it might reveal the threads of destiny weaving through this war. The Jedi forbade such use. They believed attempting to see the future only corrupted it. Strange knew better. Information was never the problem. How you used it was what mattered. He pressed his fingers to the eye's center, feeling the clasp respond. Green light spilled across the dark room as the artifact opened, revealing something impossible. The time stone still resided within, though its connection to this reality was tenuous, filtered through dimensional barriers. It shouldn't work here at all, yet some fragment of its power remained, enough for what he needed. "Forgive me, Masters," Strange whispered. But I'm a doctor. When I see symptoms, I investigate the disease. His hands moved through the familiar gestures, tracing the spell pattern that would split his consciousness across temporal streams. The green light intensified, spreading outward in mandala patterns that filled the room. Strange's perception fractured into thousands of possible futures, each one playing out before his mind's eye simultaneously. He saw the Jedi Temple burning, columns of smoke rising as clone troopers marched through halls slick with blood. Anakin Skywalker, the young general he'd briefly met, kneeling before a hooded figure, yellow eyes burning with Sith power. Padme Amidala dying, her last breath a whisper of a name. Younglings cut down by a blue lightsaber, their screams echoing through meditation chambers. Order 66, transmitted across the galaxy, Jedi commanders betrayed by the very soldiers they'd fought beside. Palpatine, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, revealing himself as Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord they'd been hunting for years. The visions slammed into Strange's consciousness with the force of a star going supernova. He gasped, breaking the spell and collapsing forward onto his hands and knees. The eye snapped shut, but the damage was done. He'd seen the galaxy's death spiral, and it was already in motion. Seen something terrible, you have. Strange's head snapped up. Yoda stood in the doorway, his ancient face grave with knowing. The diminutive master entered, settling beside Strange with the weight of centuries. You knew, Strange managed, his voice hoarse. You suspected Palpatine. Sensed the dark side's presence we have, Yoda confirmed. But shrouded in shadow, the Sith Lord's identity remains. Certainty, we lack. And dangerous, accusations without proof are. Strange pushed himself upright, his hands still trembling from the temporal backlash. It's not just suspicion anymore, Master Yoda. I've seen it. The Jedi Order's fall, the Republic's transformation into an empire, Anakin Skywalker's corruption. It's all connected to Palpatine. He's been orchestrating this entire war from both sides. The future, always in motion it is, Yoda reminded him gently. Seen possibilities you have, not certainties. Act on visions alone, we cannot. The very act of seeing changes what is seen. Then what's the point of having the ability if we don't use it? Strange demanded, frustration bleeding through his surgical calm. I've watched children die in those visions, Master. The entire Jedi Order slaughtered by an army they trust. If we do nothing, doing nothing, I did not say. Yoda's eyes gleamed in the darkness. But rash action. Equally dangerous it is. Think, Dr. Strange. If move against Palpatine now we do, without proof, without understanding the full scope of his plan, what then? Civil war? The Republic tears itself apart? Play into the Sith's hands, we might? Strange forced himself to breathe, to think like a surgeon analyzing a complex case. Yoda was right. He'd seen symptoms, but not the complete diagnosis. Charging in now could trigger exactly what he was trying to prevent. Then we need to be surgical about this. Gather evidence, understand the full extent of the conspiracy, and strike when we can remove the cancer without killing the patient. Wisdom, finally you show, Yoda said with a slight smile. But tell the Council, you must. Share what you have seen. Together, decide our course we shall. The emergency council session convened at dawn. Strange stood in the chamber's center, feeling the weight of 12 pairs of eyes upon him as he described his visions in clinical detail. He omitted nothing. Not the temple's fall, not Anakin's corruption, not the systematic extinction of the Jedi Order. When he finished, silence hung heavy as a funeral shroud. Mace Windu spoke first, his voice tight with barely controlled fury. You used forbidden temporal magic against our explicit warnings. You violated our trust. I saved us from walking blindly into annihilation, Strange countered. Your attachment to rules over results is exactly why the Sith are winning. Enough, Ki-Adi-Mundi interjected. The method was questionable, but the information may be invaluable. If even a fraction of these visions prove accurate, we face an existential threat to the Order itself. Plo Koon leaned forward, his mask's respirator hissing softly. You claim Palpatine is the Sith Lord. That's an extraordinary accusation. The Supreme Chancellor has been our ally throughout this war. We've worked alongside him for years. Which makes him the perfect hidden enemy, Strange replied. I've studied enough strategy to recognize a masterful manipulation when I see one. He's positioned himself as indispensable to the Republic while simultaneously controlling the separatist forces through Dooku. No matter who wins the war, he consolidates power. Obi-Wan Kenobi, who'd been silent until now, stroked his beard thoughtfully. The clone army's origin has always troubled me. Commissioned by a Jedi Master who died under suspicious circumstances, paid for with funds no one can trace, arriving exactly when we needed them. If Palpatine orchestrated that, then the Republic's defenders are themselves a Sith weapon, Strange finished. Sleeper agents programmed to turn on you at a specific command. In my visions, I heard it. Execute Order 66. The clones' behavioral chips activate, overriding their loyalty, forcing them to kill their Jedi generals. The chamber erupted in urgent discussion. Shak Ti rose from her seat, her voice cutting through the chaos. I've overseen clone training on Kamino for years. I've never observed anything suggesting such programming. The clones are loyal. Because the programming is hidden, Strange pressed. Designed to activate only under specific conditions. Master T, I'm not questioning the clones' current loyalty. I'm warning you about what they'll become if we don't act. Yoda tapped his cane against the floor, commanding silence. Investigate, we must. Discreetly. If true, these accusations are, move carefully we must. Prematurely reveal our knowledge, and accelerate our doom we might. I can help with that, Strange offered. My astral form can't be detected by normal means. I can scout Palpatine's office, search for evidence of Sith connection. Too dangerous, Windu declared. If he is the Sith Lord, he'll sense your presence immediately. Not if I don't touch the Force at all, Strange argued. My astral projection is purely mystical, not Force-based. It's exactly the kind of technique that would slip beneath his notice. The Council deliberated, voices rising and falling in careful consideration. Finally, Yoda nodded. A chance, we take. But not alone, you go. With you, Master Windu shall accompany. In case discovered you are, need backup you will. Strange accepted the terms, ignoring Windu's obvious displeasure at being assigned as his partner. When do we move? Tonight, Mace Windu said grimly. During the Senate's session on war appropriations, Palpatine will be occupied, distracted. It's our best opportunity. The Senate building rose like a massive mushroom from Coruscant's governmental district. Its interior, a vast amphitheater where thousands of floating platforms held representatives from across the galaxy. Strange and Windu stood on a maintenance balcony high above, watching Palpatine address the assembly with practiced charm and false humility. He's good, Strange observed quietly. Every gesture calculated, every word designed to build trust while consolidating authority. He's convinced them that surrendering emergency powers is the path to peace. Your mission, Windu reminded him coldly. Stay focused. Strange nodded, sitting cross-legged on the cold Durasteel floor. Keep watch. If my body shows any signs of distress, pull me back immediately. He didn't wait for acknowledgement before pressing his hands together and separating his astral form from his physical body. The transition was smooth, practiced. Strange's spirit rose, invisible to normal sight, and descended toward the Chancellor's private office. The journey took minutes, floating through walls and security checkpoints that meant nothing to an entity without physical form. He'd done similar reconnaissance countless times in his own dimension, infiltrating Kamar Taj's restricted libraries, spying on the Zealots, even venturing into the dark dimension itself. Palpatine's office was elegant but modest, decorated with artifacts from 1,000 worlds. Strange's astral form drifted through the space, searching for anything that might confirm the visions. He opened drawers without touching them, phasing through locked compartments, examining documents that dissolved into his photographic memory. Nothing. Either Palpatine was extraordinarily careful, or Strange felt it then. A presence in the Force, so subtle he'd almost missed it. Not attacking, not even aware of him necessarily, but there. a darkness so profound it made the air itself feel thick. He turned slowly and saw it, a hidden chamber behind the office's far wall, concealed behind sophisticated technology and force illusion. He shouldn't investigate further. The smart play was to retreat, report what he'd found, and return with backup. But Strange had never been content with partial information. He phased through the wall. The hidden chamber was small, lit by crimson light that seemed to pulse with malevolent life. Sith artifacts lined the walls, ancient holocrons, dark side relics, weapons that reeked of suffering. And there, at the chamber's center, a meditation sphere marked with symbols Strange recognized from his studies of dark dimensional entities. "Impressive," said a voice behind him. Strange spun, impossibly, because astral forms couldn't be detected by normal means. But Palpatine stood there. Or rather, Darth Sidious stood there, yellow eyes gleaming in the darkness, force lightning crackling between his fingers. "Did you truly think I wouldn't sense you, Sorcerer?" Sidious smiled, and it was the expression of a predator who'd finally cornered interesting prey. "Your astral form may not touch the Force, but it displaces it, like a stone in a river, creating ripples for those wise enough to notice." Strange tried to retreat, to snap back to his body. But invisible pressure held him in place. Sidious gestured, and the astral form solidified just enough to be trapped. "The Jedi are fools, sending you here. But you could have been magnificent. Your knowledge of time, of dimensions beyond this one. Such power wasted on their side." "I've been offered corrupting power before," Strange managed, fighting against the Force grip. "It never ends well for the Tempter." "We shall see," Sidious hissed. "But for now." The Sith Lord's hand shot forward, force lightning erupting not at Strange's astral form, but toward his physical body kilometers away. Strange felt the attack lance through their connection, felt his body convulse on the maintenance platform. Windu's shout of alarm echoed across the distance. "Your friends cannot save you," Sidious purred. "And now they know that I know." The timetable accelerates. Order 66 may come sooner than even I planned. He released Strange's astral form with contemptuous ease. "Run back to your Jedi Masters, Sorcerer. Tell them the Sith always win. It's simply a matter of time." Strange's consciousness slammed back into his body with enough force to leave him gasping. Mace Windu knelt beside him, lightsaber ignited, scanning for threats. "What happened?" "I felt... He knows," Strange choked out, his chest burning where the force lightning had struck across dimensional space. "Sidious knows we're onto him. We need to move now." They fled through the Senate building's service corridors, Windu half-carrying Strange as his body slowly recovered from the astral attack. Behind them, alarms began to sound. Palpatine was making his move. By the time they reached the Jedi Temple, chaos had already begun. The Council reconvened in emergency session, with Anakin Skywalker present this time, the young Jedi Knight whose fall Strange had witnessed in his visions. Strange studied him carefully, seeing the fear and anger simmering beneath the surface, the attachments he struggled to hide. "Master Windu, Dr. Strange." Anakin acknowledged them with a nod, but his blue eyes were troubled. "The Chancellor has just contacted me. He says there's been a Jedi plot to assassinate him, that Dr. Strange attempted to murder him using dark magic." "It's a lie," Strange said firmly, meeting Anakin's gaze. "I discovered proof that Palpatine is Darth Sidious. He attacked me when I got too close to the truth." "Proof?" Anakin's hand moved unconsciously toward his lightsaber. "What proof? All I've heard are visions and accusations. The Chancellor has been nothing but supportive of the Jedi." "Because he's been using us," Windu interjected. "Manipulating the war, positioning himself to destroy the Order from within." "Anakin, I know this is difficult to accept, but..." "Difficult." Anakin's voice rose. "You're talking about arresting the Supreme Chancellor based on the word of someone who's been here less than a month. Someone who admits to using forbidden time magic." Strange saw the moment crystallizing, the exact point where Anakin's faith in the Jedi could shatter. In his visions, Palpatine had exploited Anakin's fear of loss, his desperation to save Padme. The same vulnerability existed now, raw and exposed. "Anakin," Strange said carefully, I understand your skepticism, but I've seen what happens if we don't act. I've seen the Jedi Temple burning, younglings murdered, the entire order destroyed. And I've seen you." He stopped, but Anakin stepped forward, danger flashing in his eyes. "Seen me what?" The chamber held its breath. Strange weighed his options with surgical precision. Tell Anakin about his fall, and risk driving him toward it through self-fulfilling prophecy. Say nothing, and lose the chance to save him. Both paths were mined with catastrophic potential. "I've seen you face an impossible choice," Strange finally said, "between loyalty to the Order and something you love. In every future where the Jedi Order survives, you make the right choice. But it has to be your choice, Anakin, not forced by visions or manipulation." Yoda's ears perked up, understanding Strange's careful navigation. "Right, Dr. Strange is. Choose your own path you must, young Skywalker. But choose wisely. The fate of the galaxy, on such choices, depends." Anakin's conflict was visible. Loyalty to Palpatine warring with loyalty to the Jedi, fear battling duty. "I need time to think, to meditate on this." "Time is exactly what we don't have," Mace Windu said. "Palpatine knows we're coming. He'll consolidate his position, activate contingency plans. We need to move against him now, before Order 66 can be transmitted." "Then move we shall," Yoda declared, rising from his seat. "Master Windu, take a strike team to arrest the Chancellor. If Sith Lord he truly is, reveal himself he will." "Dr. Strange, I'm coming with you," Strange interrupted. "If Sidious is as powerful as I think, you'll need every advantage. My magic might be the edge that keeps you alive." Windu looked like he wanted to argue, but pragmatism won. "Fine, but follow my lead. This is Jedi business." Strange nodded, already preparing the spells he'd need. In his visions, Windu had confronted Sidious and nearly won, would have won if not for Anakin's intervention. Now, Strange would be there to tip the scales. The galaxy's fate rested on what happened in the next few hours. As they prepared to leave, Strange caught Yoda's eye. The ancient master gave a slight nod. Permission, warning, and blessing all at once. Then Strange followed Windu into the Coruscant twilight, toward a confrontation that would determine whether this galaxy lived or died. 4 Jedi Masters approached the Supreme Chancellor's office at dusk. Mace Windu, Kit Fisto, Agen Kolar, Sayesi Teen, and 1 sorcerer from beyond the stars. The Senate building's corridors were eerily empty, security personnel mysteriously absent. Palpatine had cleared the stage for his final performance. "He knows we're coming," Strange murmured, his hands already tracing defensive patterns in preparation. "Let him know," Windu replied, his purple lightsaber ready. "We arrest him according to Republic law. If he resists, we prove his guilt." The office doors opened without resistance. Palpatine sat at his desk, appearing every inch the frail, elderly statesman. But Strange could see through the illusion now. The darkness coiled beneath the surface, ancient and patient as a predator that had finally cornered its prey. "Master Windu," Palpatine greeted them with false warmth. "I take it the Council has reconsidered my recommendations for increased security measures? And Dr. Strange, I'm surprised to see you free. I was told you attacked me with dark magic." "The lies end now, Sidious," Windu declared, advancing with measured steps. "You're under arrest for treason against the Republic, conspiracy to destroy the Jedi Order, and murder of countless innocents." Palpatine's expression shifted, the mask of benevolence cracking to reveal something far more sinister. "Are you threatening me, Master Jedi?" "The Senate will decide your fate," Windu replied. "I am the Senate." Palpatine rose, and the transformation was instantaneous. Force lightning erupted from his fingers toward the Jedi Masters. Agen Kolar and Sayesi Teen barely raised their lightsabers before the energy overwhelmed them, dropping both Jedi in smoking heaps. Strange reacted with surgical precision, conjuring shields of golden energy around himself and Kit Fisto. The lightning splashed harmlessly against the mystic barriers. Windu and Fisto pressed forward, lightsabers blazing as Sidious drew a crimson blade seemingly from nowhere, his elderly facade burning away to reveal a Sith Lord in his terrible prime. The duel was chaos incarnate. Sidious moved with preternatural speed, his lightsaber work flawless despite centuries of hiding his abilities. Kit Fisto engaged from the left, while Windu attacked from the right, their combined assault forcing Sidious back toward the office windows. Strange maintained the shields while preparing his counterattack, watching for the perfect opening. Sidious's blade found Kit Fisto's chest. The Nautolan Jedi fell, shock frozen on his face. Now it was only Windu and Strange against the galaxy's most dangerous predator. "You're stronger than I anticipated," Sidious hissed, his yellow eyes fixed on Windu. "But strength alone won't save you. The Jedi are already finished. Order 66 awaits only my command." "Then I'll kill you before you can give it," Windu snarled, his Vapad form channeling his fury into devastating strikes. Strange saw his moment. While Sidious focused on Windu's assault, Strange opened a portal beneath the Sith Lord's feet, not a full sling ring transport, but enough to disrupt his footing. Sidious stumbled, and Windu's lightsaber came down in an overhead strike that should have ended the threat forever. Should have. "Stop!" Anakin Skywalker burst through the office doors, his face a mask of anguish and desperation. "Don't kill him! He knows how to save Padme!" Strange's heart sank. The vision was coming true despite everything. Anakin's secret marriage, his fear of losing Padme, Palpatine's careful manipulation of that fear, it was all colliding in this moment. "Anakin, he's the Sith Lord," Windu said urgently, his blade still poised over Sidious's neck. "Everything we've been searching for. He's been orchestrating the war, planning to destroy the Order. I know what he is," Anakin's voice cracked. "But I need him. Padme is going to die. I've seen it. He's the only one who can teach me to save her." Sidious's laughter was cruel music. "You see, Dr. Strange, your visions were accurate, but incomplete. Young Skywalker's love makes him predictable. Malleable." Strange stepped forward carefully, his hands still glowing with defensive magic. "Anakin, listen to me. I've seen this moment play out. If you help Sidious now, Padme dies anyway. But more than that, you become the instrument of her death and the death of everything you believe in." "You've seen futures, not certainties," Anakin shot back, echoing Yoda's own words. "Maybe I can change them. Maybe there's a way to save her and stop him." "There isn't," Strange said with absolute conviction. "I've searched millions of possibilities. Every path where you fall to the dark side leads to her death and your damnation. The only futures where she lives are the ones where you trust the Jedi, where you choose the light." Anakin's hand hovered near his lightsaber, trembling. "How can you know that? How can anyone know?" "Because I've lived it," Strange replied. "I've made the choice to sacrifice what I love for the greater good. I've traded my own happiness for the survival of my universe. It's the hardest thing anyone can do, Anakin. But it's also what makes us heroes instead of monsters." For a heartbeat, Strange thought he'd reached him. Then Sidious spoke, his voice dripping with poisoned honey. "The Jedi would let your wife die to preserve their precious dogma. I offer power to save her. Choose, Skywalker. Choose now, before it's too late." Anakin's lightsaber ignited and struck Windu's weapon hand. The Jedi Master screamed as his lightsaber tumbled away. Sidious surged upright, lightning erupting from both hands into Windu's body. Strange threw himself forward, shields blazing, pushing through the dark side energy to grab Windu's shoulder. He opened a portal with his other hand, shoving the injured Jedi through it toward the temple medical bay. The portal closed, and Strange stood alone before Sidious and Anakin. His shields flickered, drained by the effort of fighting Sith lightning and opening a cross-city portal simultaneously. "Impressive," Sidious admitted, "but futile. Kneel, Skywalker. Pledge yourself to the Sith, and I will teach you to save your wife." Strange watched Anakin kneel, watched the young Jedi's blue eyes fill with tears as he whispered, "I pledge myself to your teachings, my master." "Good. Henceforth, you shall be known as Darth Vader." Sidious turned his attention to Strange. "And you, Sorcerer. You've interfered enough. Time to transmit Order 66 and finish what should have ended today." Strange's mind raced through possibilities. He couldn't defeat both of them, not with his power reserves depleted. But he could buy time. "You're making a mistake, Anakin. This path leads only to—" Vader's lightsaber struck, forcing Strange back. The newly christened Sith apprentice fought with fury born from guilt and desperation, each blow trying to silence the voice of conscience Strange represented. Strange retreated through corridors of the Senate building, Vader pursuing relentlessly, while Sidious moved to transmit the fatal order. Strange opened portals to redirect Vader's strikes, used the mirror dimension to create barriers, fought with every technique he'd mastered across 2 universes. But it wasn't enough. Vader's raw power, amplified by dark-side fury, was overwhelming. A blade caught Strange's side. Pain exploded through his ribs as he stumbled, blood staining his robes. Vader stood over him, blue blade humming, conflict still visible beneath the rage. "I'm sorry," Vader whispered. "You tried to help, but I have to save her." Strange looked up at him, using what might be his final moments for one last attempt. "Then go to her, now. Forget Sidious's orders. Go to Padme and tell her the truth. Let her decide if this is the man she married." Vader hesitated, and in that moment, Strange heard the transmission echo through the Force. "Execute Order 66. Across the galaxy, clone troopers turned on their Jedi generals. Hundreds of Force signatures winked out simultaneously, lives extinguished by soldiers they'd trusted. Strange felt it through his developing Force sensitivity, the death of the Order happening in real time. "No," Strange gasped. "No, no, no." Vader fled, leaving Strange bleeding on the Senate floor. The sorcerer pressed his hands to his wound, using basic healing magic to keep himself conscious. He had to warn the survivors, had to do something. His comlink crackled, Yoda's voice, impossibly calm despite the catastrophe. "Survived we have, some of us. To the temple, do not return. Compromised, it is. Meet at predetermined coordinates. May the Force be with you, Dr. Strange." Strange dragged himself upright, opening a portal with trembling hands. He fell through into the medical bay where he'd sent Windu. The Jedi Master was being tended by medical droids, his severed hand already being fitted with a cybernetic replacement. "It's done," Strange said, collapsing against the wall. "Order 66 is active. The Jedi Order is—" "Not destroyed," Windu corrected, his voice tight with pain and determination. "Diminished, broken, but not destroyed. We survive, and we'll rebuild." Over the following hours, survivors trickled in through secret channels. Yoda and Obi-Wan returned from Outer Rim engagements, a handful of other Jedi who'd escaped their clone battalions through luck or Force warning. Fewer than 50 survivors from an order of 10,000. Strange sat in the hidden refuge, the eye of Agamotto pulsing against his wounded chest. He'd seen the future and tried to change it. He'd saved Mace Windu, but lost Anakin Skywalker. Delayed Order 66 by hours, but couldn't prevent it entirely. The question that haunted him: had his interference made things better or worse? "Blame yourself, you must not," Yoda said, settling beside him. "Change the future you did. Alive, Master Windu is. Alive we are, more of us than in your visions. Small victories, but victories nonetheless." "Anakin still fell," Strange said bitterly. "Padme will still die. The Empire will still rise." "Perhaps," Yoda acknowledged. "But fight it, we will. With you beside us, a chance we did not have before. Your knowledge, your power, your different perspective, valuable these are." Strange closed his eyes, feeling the weight of another universe's conflicts settling on his shoulders. He'd come here by accident, a dimensional traveler seeking only to return home. Now he was committed to a war that might last decades. "I'll help you," Strange promised. "However long it takes, but eventually, I need to find a way back to my reality." "Time, we have?" Yoda said with a slight smile. "And strange allies the Force provides. Destiny brought you here for a reason, Dr. Strange. Discover it we shall." In the months that followed, Dr. Strange became a legend whispered across the galaxy. The mystic Jedi who wielded powers beyond the Force itself, who walked between light and shadow without falling. He trained in secret with the surviving Jedi, learning to fully integrate his magic with their ways while teaching them techniques the Order had never imagined. Mace Windu became his closest ally, the two warriors developing mutual respect born from shared combat and narrow survival. They led strike teams against the newly formed Empire, using Strange's portals to appear and disappear like ghosts, rescuing Force-sensitive children before Inquisitors could corrupt or kill them. Yoda taught Strange the deeper mysteries of the Force, while Strange shared knowledge of dimensional magic and temporal theory. Together, they began developing contingencies, ways to hide younglings across space and time, to preserve Jedi knowledge in holocrons scattered through dimensions where Sidious could never reach. The galaxy had changed irrevocably. The Republic was dead, replaced by an empire that hunted Force users with mechanical efficiency. Darth Vader led the Inquisitorius, his blue blade replaced with crimson, his humanity buried beneath black armor and darker choices. But hope survived in secret places, in the whispers of a sorcerer from beyond the stars who'd chosen to stay and fight, in the knowledge that the future wasn't fixed, that even the darkest visions could be altered. Dr. Strange had failed to prevent the Empire's rise, but he'd ensured the Jedi Order's survival. Now, in the shadows of tyranny, a new kind of resistance was being born, one that blended ancient Force tradition with mystic arts from a dimension far away. The war was far from over. Sidious ruled the galaxy, and Vader served as his enforcer. Padme had indeed died, her heart broken by Anakin's fall. But more Jedi lived than should have, their survival a testament to one man's refusal to accept predetermined fate. Strange stood on a balcony of their hidden base, looking up at unfamiliar stars. Somewhere in the multiverse, his own reality continued without him. His duties as Sorcerer Supreme were being fulfilled by Wong and the other masters of the mystic arts. Here, in this galaxy far, far away, he'd found a new purpose. Homesick? Obi-Wan Kenobi asked, joining him at the railing. Always, Strange admitted. But there's work to do here first. An empire to topple. A fallen Jedi to redeem if possible. And younglings who need protection. I'm a doctor. I don't leave patients unhealed. Obi-Wan smiled sadly. Then welcome to the rebellion, Dr. Strange. May the Force be with you. And also with you, Strange replied, the words feeling more like a vow than a blessing.